Welcome to Premier League Predictions Game Week 18, and there are 10 games to predict, and I will predict all of them. And today I'm going to be starting on Boxing Day. It's the 12:30 PM kickoff. It's at the Etihad Stadium, and it's Manchester City versus Everton. And Everton, congratulations. Surely they're going to be breaking records if this becomes another 0-0 in this game. Another 0-0 draw against title-challenging Chelsea. It was very good, Everton. Pickford was still coming outside his box, being a bit risky now and again, but overall, he did have some good moments, and he has been making save after save and being like a very good goalkeeper. Same can be said to the defence. They are brilliant as well. And Everton is constantly getting clean sheet after clean sheet, but they're not scoring on the other end. And you know what? I'm not going to go for them to score again against Man City. Especially when Man City are at the Etihad. But Manchester City, are they going to be able to score against an Everton side which has managed to get a clean sheet against the best attack in the Premier League, Chelsea? I don't really think they can score. Especially the fact that Man City lost it again in terrible fashion. They got battered again against Aston Villa. So you know what? In terms of in the final third movements for Man City, they are not creative in recent time. And defensively, they were shocking, especially without Ruben Dias. I do not see them getting any more than a point. I think they will get a point because Everton are still struggling to score, especially that this is an easier game for Man City than the previous few. So I can't split it, and I'm going it for again. If this actually happens, surely it's going to be record-breaking. I'm going for 0-0 between Man City and Everton. Before we get on to the next game, a bit of disclaimer, I'm not going to put massive effort into this video as Christmas time is coming. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day is coming up. So sorry for the down in quality and editing, but it's going to be needed as I don't have enough time. But for now, enjoy the banger of the video and enjoy my predictions. Now moving over to St James's Park, it's Newcastle United versus Aston Villa. I am buzzing with Newcastle. Jacob Murphy, goal and assist again, and Jacob Murphy is genuinely playing fantastic. I mean, how many goal contributions is he gonna get? And in fact, in previous games, like against Leicester, he could have had even more goals in that game. And in many other games, he could have even more goals. And Alexander Isak as well. Brilliant hat-trick. Everything is cooking. Because the main problem that almost everyone was going on about is that Newcastle, they can do it against maybe like the big six or like teams like in the top 10. They could do it against the higher teams, but they couldn't do it against the lower teams. That has changed as Newcastle have just battered Leicester City and Ipswich Town 4-0 with a clean sheet, and we won against Brentford. We got revenge, you could say, against Brentford in the Cup, and it was another battering there as well. The last 3 games in all competitions, Newcastle have battered their opponents, so it's really promising from Newcastle, and at home I feel really confident. And against Aston Villa, which, yes, did win it against Man City, but you have to remember they still lost it to Nottingham Forest. And before the Nottingham Forest game, before their couple of wins, it wasn't really amazing, you know, Aston Villa. They're going for a bit of a slippery slope. But I do have to credit Aston Villa. Duran scored again. Morgan Rogers, what a duo between them. Brilliant ball control. And then the midfield was even better by Aston Villa. Tielemans, the amount of crucial passes he made, the assist of the assist once, and it was just brilliant. A brilliant display by Aston Villa. And I'm pretty sure, just going by memory, Newcastle were terrible on Boxing Day. So I am tempted to go for a draw or even an Aston Villa win. But then, as I said, how confident I am with Newcastle, how prolific we've been in front of goal, is just too good. Feel like we're going to win this. Only just about. I'm going 2-1 to Newcastle United at St James's Park as Newcastle are flourishing. But I wouldn't be surprised for an Aston Villa win or draw. Moving over to the City ground, it is Nottingham Forest versus Tottenham Hotspur. Now Tottenham, well done on your 4-3 win against Man United in the Cup. Well done on your battering versus Southampton 5-0. But what a game it was against Liverpool. That was a brilliant game to watch. I knew it would be high scoring because it seems to always be with Tottenham when they're at home. But 6-3, I was not expecting. There's no way one person is predicting the scoreline of 6-3. I mean, how would you go about predicting a scoreline like 6-3? And now Tottenham are facing Nottingham Forest, which they did brilliant. They've broken Brentford's home record and actually won at the G-Tech Community Stadium. That is brilliant. Great defending by Nottingham Forest. And overall, Nottingham Forest, you're in a Champions League contention. And I would say Tottenham, at the start of the season, I was saying they were the better side. But I have been wrong about Nottingham Forest's league position. I've been wrong almost every single week about Nottingham Forest. I always underestimate Nottingham Forest and go for them to lose or draw. But going against a Tottenham side, which I'm pretty sure is still missing a big chunk of their defence, going against a Tottenham side that conceded 6 against Liverpool, going against a Tottenham side which honestly, in the attack, in the first half and the first part of the second half, they looked quite stagnated and they looked like they had barely any numbers going forward. And their defence, each time they played out from the back, it looked like they weren't even going to get anywhere going up the pitch. And the defence completely got open up. And the structure was terrible because of all that. And I always underestimate Nottingham Forest at home at their City ground. I'm finally giving in and saying, Nottingham Forest, you are winning this. I'm going to go high scoring considering Tottenham are always in high scoring fashion. But Nottingham Forest, you're winning this 3-2 at the City ground as I underestimate you over and over again. It's time to give you credit. Now, moving over to the Vitality Stadium, it's obviously the Cherries versus Crystal Palace. Right, Crystal Palace, you lost at 5-1 against the Gunners. It is the Gunners, they are in a title race, and it was a bit disappointing that you couldn't have made it a bit of a closer affair against the Gunners, because I was really impressed with your results beforehand. And even throughout the season, I thought your performances were better than your results. But honestly, you can go past that Gunners game, okay? And after Christmas, you're going to be wanting to bounce back against Bournemouth. But honestly, I said Bournemouth would draw against Man United. And I think I've underestimated Bournemouth a bit this season, each week in, week out. But not as bad as I've underestimated Nottingham Forest. And I feel like at the Vitality, going against a Crystal Palace side that's going to be a bit shocked after a 5-1 loss, I think Bournemouth can take it all the way and get all 3 points. I do credit Crystal Palace, and they are definitely not in a relegation battle, and they will climb up the table into mid-table. But honestly, Bournemouth is cooking something special. With Bournemouth's attacking threat, when they go forward, that high press, the amount of shots and chances they've created, I think will damage Crystal Palace. But it will be close. I'm going for a common 2-1 scoreline towards Bournemouth. As honestly, I could see a draw, but I feel like Bournemouth are just winning too much. Moving on to the London derby between Chelsea and the Cottagers. Now Chelsea, you drew it 0-0 against Everton. But honestly, so did the Gunners. And going past that game, okay, completely forgetting that game as a whole, you've scored loads of goals, and it's honestly just Everton, the way they play is the reason to why it was 0-0. And maybe sometimes Chelsea could have put away their chances, but now they're facing the Cottagers at Stamford Bridge, and they don't play like Everton. I do not see this being 0-0. I still don't think they played terrible against Everton, and they've still been playing fantastic. I don't see why, as a Christmas present towards Chelsea, they can get back on winning ways. I could sit here all day talking about how good that Chelsea side is, and I see them winning it. I honestly do. They've got such a great side, and they're going to be back on scoring form just because Fulham do not play like Everton, and they're not going to get a 0-0 again. I'm going 3-1 to Chelsea. It's honestly down to me thinking Chelsea are just better than Fulham at the moment. We move to the St. Mary's. It's Southampton versus West Ham United. Obviously, as everyone knows, Russell Martin sacked. And I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong. Ivan Juric is coming in to replace Russell Martin. I'm going to be honest, I don't know a lot about this manager, so I don't know what I'm going to expect. I think he's taking charge in this game against West Ham. And to be fair, Aaron Ramsdale now back. He made some crucial saves. A great save, wasn't it? And great saves overall. He's going to be a crucial part of this being maybe more low scoring than the Tottenham game. And they did pretty well to get a clean sheet at the Cottages, at Craven Cottage. It was brilliant. That one game against the Cottages isn't going to suddenly make Southampton bounce back, especially facing West Ham, which I have to be honest, they deserved a draw against Brighton. They deserved a draw against Bournemouth. They deserved a win against Wolves. And they probably deserved at least a point or even 3 points against Leicester. And the last 4 games, I've been impressed. And I think slowly but surely, that West Ham side is starting to come together. And they do look threatening at times. Still not the exciting football that I thought Lopetegui will show, but they are looking better and better. And against Southampton, I think this is going to have to be 3 points against last place, despite them having a new manager. It's going to be tight because Aaron Ramsdale in goal is going to be able to save a lot. And West Ham still haven't been perfect. Definitely not. So I think it's going to be tight, but West Ham, they've got the quality step up to Southampton and have been impressed for the last 4 games for them that they deserve another victory. And I honestly feel like West Ham can move up to a good 10th position at the end of the season. So I'm going for a 1-0 scraping towards West Ham United. We move to the Molineux Stadium. It's Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Manchester United. Yet again, Man United conceding from a set piece, and they cannot finish their beans. They had the possession, they had the pass accuracy, they had the shots on target. They couldn't finish their beans, and when it comes to defending, pretty poor. Gave away the foul, poor defensive awareness in crucial moments, not being able to finish their beans, and Ruben Amorim still hasn't got the side going yet. And well, it's going to be hard because of individual errors happening at the club. And I said a draw versus Bournemouth, and it wasn't. It was a 3-0 loss against Bournemouth. But they won against Man City. And Wolves winning 3-0. Now with Victor Pereira. Yeah, I think at the Molineux, going against the Man United side, which still seems very shaky, still not the same. Wolves I see getting something. Only something. I see this being end-to-end. Because honestly, Wolves sometimes play like they are in mid-table, maybe even high mid-table. And they play brilliantly, completely deserved, and they've got some world-class players. And at the Molineux with this new manager and bouncing back with a 3-0 win, getting the momentum versus Man United, which randomly lost 3-0 against Bournemouth. Yeah, I see them getting something. Not a full win, because Man United still, they have quality. But I'm going to have to go down the middle for an end-to-end. Desmond. That's right, the Desmond 2-2 chap is back for a 2-2 draw between Wolves and Man United. Now at Anfield, Liverpool versus Leicester City. This is not a great Christmas present for Leicester. You lost against Wolves, which are in 18th. And now you're facing a really hard opponent. You didn't just lose to Wolves, you got battered. Yeah, you're getting battered against Liverpool. Definitely at Anfield. Liverpool, well done on your 6-3 win. Brilliant, fast counter-attacking stuff. I mean, Leicester are going to get ripped open. 4-0 Liverpool, thrashing. Sorry, Leicester, but I was wrong to say you're going to win against Wolves. And I was right to say Wolves were the better side. Now we move to the Amex Stadium. Brighton and Hove Albion versus Brentford. Now, Brentford's away form is terrible. Their home form supposedly is brilliant. And it still is, but they lost it to Nottingham Forest. And they scored 0 goals. A game where Brentford scored 0 goals is an odd place, because they lost it to Chelsea, they lost it to Newcastle United in the Carabao Cup. In fact, they got battered against Newcastle in the Carabao Cup, and then they go to lose to Nottingham Forest. Tough games, you have to admit, but still, they've lost the last 3 games in all competitions. They've got just 1 point away from home. Surely they're not winning this, especially against a Brighton side which is eager than ever to get back on winning ways. And they could see a lot of injuries returning, such as Danny Welbeck, which I know how prolific and how good he was. Even holding up the play as well is going to be crucial in that Brighton side. And against a Brentford defence, which they've been missing fullbacks for ages, Aaron Hickey and Rico Henry, which I rate a lot, they've been missing them for like a year now. And the fact that Ethan Pinnock's now injured, yeah, I think it's going to be a win to Brighton. I'm going for a common scoreline, 2-1 to Brighton, as Brentford are just awful away from home, and they're on a bit of rough form. Now moving to the Emirates Stadium, it's the Gunners versus Ipswich Town. Ipswich Town lost at 4-0 to Newcastle. It was terrible. To go from a 2-1 win against Wolves, then to lose it against Newcastle, battered by Newcastle, there were some defending individual errors. Some really concerning errors. And I thought Leif Davis, was out of position quite a bit. I know he likes to get forward, but surely you're going to have to get back, at some points. And it was an absolute capitulation by the defence, and loads of mistakes happened. And I see nothing but a Gunners win here. You could say Saka's been injured. Look, Arsenal, the Gunners, whatever you want to call them, they are not like Man City. When Rodri gets injured, they are not moving down the table and they are not losing. Because even when Saka went off, Trossard came on and Arsenal carried on playing fantastic. Oh, and Gabriel Jesus, 5 goals against Crystal Palace in 2 games. He's got his confidence back. And it's not just me looking at the goals. It's me looking at his desire and passion to get to the ball. And his determination, energy, his sharpness is all back. And he is back. And Arsenal, nothing but a win for them. At home as well. Sorry, Ipswich, but you're doing terrible. I'm going for a thrashing 3-0 towards the Gunners, as Ipswich look a bit stinky last game. Now to my goal of Game Week 17, I'm bringing it to Jacob Murphy. I've said this in the past, and Jacob Murphy always scores bangers. When he scores, the majority of the time he scores bangers. And that was one of the powerful shots in Game Week 17, and it was just a brilliant goal. But how did I do in Game Week 17? Well, I got no fancy graphic, but I only got 4 points. That's back-to-back weeks with 4 points. Terrible from me. That puts me on 90 points out of 338 points. But honestly, it's terrible from me. But have yourself a very Merry Christmas. But for now, check out this video and toodle pip. Merry Christmas. Ho ho.